whether buying or renting a house, which is better for you? You are now listening to the Nasi Lemak podcast. I am Xiang Huan.
Hello, my name is Cynthia.
So, what will be the choice?
Okay, for me, I would prefer to buy a house instead of renting a house.
Why buying house is better than renting a house? I mean, to you personally.
Because if I'm renting a house, right, I'm paying every monthly rental to my owner, but in the end, this house does not belongs to me. But let's say
That's
if
right.
I buy a house, right, even though I pay for the mortgage, the monthly installment thing,
Mhm.
but in the end, this house is under my name. So it's kind of like your belonging.
So
this
it's
is what
more
my
like
concept lah.
investing into your future assets.
Yes, exactly. Like you can do anything to this house. Or even when you are, okay, let's say for me lah, I'm not from KL lah. Like if I own a house, my own house in KL, it feels a sense of like security. Like you go back to your own house, like that kind of thing. Like the concept is different, the mindset.
Okay, so to you is that owning a house, as in buying a house, your own house, is that it actually give you a sense of security to you personally.
Yes, exactly. Like I'm not sure how the others think, but
Mhm.
but to me like I don't know. I always feel like a house is a place where you can be yourself and then
Being comfortable.
being comfortable. So like even though let's say if you rent a house lah, like this whole unit is
Mhm.
only just you, but the the meaning is still different. It's like you're still living under other people's house.
Okay.
That kind
So
of
the
feeling.
sense of belongings.
Yes.
I used to have this thought as what you have. Buying a house is always better than renting a house because basically like what you said, as in you are paying monthly rental versus you are paying for your home mortgage every month. So basically by paying the home mortgage, at the end of the day, the property or even the house is actually your assets. I believe it's also how our parents educate us, as in
Yeah.
once you have the capabilities, you must own a house, or probably when you are younger, you should
Yes.
own your first home so that you have the privilege of getting longer repayment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly what my mom
Yes.
tells me.
So I think that's how we being educated from our past generations, as in like from our parents, our grandparents. I have a slightly different thought from yours. After 10, 12 years staying in KL, I'm still renting. So one of the reason is that I still yet to discover any potential properties or development that can be justified as my dream home. What do I mean as in like dream home, as in like I have no complaints about anything of the property or even the development. So which means like from facilities to environments to the neighborhood to the community and so on. It's like I have no complaints about it.
I don't know, but don't you think it's a bit hard for you to find this kind of dream house?
That's why after 10 years I still couldn't get one. I mean yeah.
I think you might need to build one dream house instead of buying a dream house.
Probably I should move into jungle, I guess.
Then
Okay.
just build one.
Yeah. So I mean at first my philosophy is that my idea is that okay, I want to buy a house that with whatever amount of money that I could afford. I don't know. It's just basically very personal. I do not want to actually commit or even invest into something that I would have complained about. You just imagine that you are paying the mortgage monthly, right? And then every day when you came home, it's like, why the lift not functioning? And like, oh, why the neighborhood so noisy? Or like, oh, why the entrance so jammed? It it just doesn't really. I mean, it's still my personal. I mean, my personal preference, as in like I do not want to commit or even invest into something that I would complain every day, or like I'll have something to complain about it.
But I don't know. To me, really, it's really, really hard for you to get that zero complaint, totally zero complaint at all thing.
Yeah. So I think probably just me personally, or probably if any one of you also having the same thought, as in like you do not want to commit into a properties or even a house that you have complained about. Yeah. So, or even if let's say you know there is a property or development that you have no complaints, feel free to share with us.
I agree with like the renting house part is one thing I agree is that like I find it easy for
Yep.
so let's say like if you change job like so let's say if you want to change a job or you have a job change like you can easily move to
Flexible.
very flexible. You can move closer to where you work.
True.
Yeah, it's not like you have limitations like let's say if my house is here and then when I want to change the job, right, I need to find somewhere near my
Nearby
house.
and then
But
switch again.
yeah, but there's no opportunities nearby your house. Like the new work
Environment.
opportunity is like further than your house.
Mm.
Yeah, but like if we rent a house, right, it's easier for us to move when you have like job changes or anything like change lah.
Yeah. Flexibility, I guess. That is definitely one of the benefit of renting a house because basically you own the flexibility. So if let's say you don't like this place, you can just move. You can move to other places that you think you're gonna like it.
It's like experiencing lah.
You able to experiment or experience the property, matter of like the neighborhood, the facilities, or even the design or whatsoever that whether you like it or not. Probably if let's say you like it, that could be your future dream home. So this is my
True.
thought for now, as in like I'm renting because basically I yet to discover the dream home, but also this is an opportunity for me to actually experience or even experiment where it is right now. Yeah.
But there's also challenges in terms of renting a house, right? Like there's probably a possibility of meeting like crazy landlords, house owner.
Yes. Definitely there is a challenges because basically, like what you mentioned before, as in like renting some other people places, is still you still have a sense of like, oh, this is not my house.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
not
yeah.
belong to me. So you do not have that kind of sense of belongings. And yes, there is also a potential or even a risk of meeting weird, we call it weird landlord, as in like probably it could be landlord who are not uh reasonable, or probably who the landlord who are not that uh friendly. And if let's say those are renting probably a partial of the house, right? Like let's say for example renting room or so on, there is also a potential chances that the owners is actually or even the landlord is actually living with you in the same property. So I don't know. To me, the challenges part is that it could be lack of privacy, also like lack of flexibility in that cases. But then in like in general, I guess it's like the challenges of renting is definitely the relationship between the landlord and the tenant. So I guess that is the main challenge. Like, okay, so for you, you are also renting. Do you face any kind of challenges?
I rent a room lah previously when for what you mentioned about like the experimenting, like I rent in some place, I mean different kind of areas before, like what you mentioned lah, like experimenting lah, like whether I like this area or not. And then end up now where I'm living, right, I kind of like this
The current situation.
the current unit situation thing. And luckily my landlord is also she's staying with me, but she's very good.
A nice lady.
Yeah, a very nice lady. Like she will cook dinner for me every time when I go back.
Yeah, that is definitely lucky. I mean, a very good what do you call it? As in like, a very good experience, renting experience. You met a nice landlord. But then, if let's say you want to say challenges, is definitely still back to the relationship between the landlord and also the tenant.
Sometimes like let's say for the whole unit, right, you are not dealing with the landlord, you are dealing with agency.
Yes.
So for one unit there might be like 5 to 6 people living in that one unit itself. So previously when I was
something like a co-living.
Yeah. So previously the room that I was renting, right, we actually have like 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5, 6 people living in there.
Oh,
And then most of them like they don't really care about hygiene, which I really care about.
yes. You have this called nightmares. Housemates.
Yeah.
Yes. What you mentioned is a nightmares housemate, right? But then sometimes what we experience is the nightmares neighborhood. So it could be uh this is just sharing from what we experience, as in like we could have our neighbors having wild party day and night, which means it's like gonna be very disturbing in terms of noise, in terms of the music loudness and so on. And we also have neighbors who love cooking so much, and I know probably it's because like they do not have. I mean, this building itself, this property itself, do not have a proper ventilation system. So basically, whenever our no, I would say whatever our neighbor is cooking, we knew it because basically the smell will actually flow all the way to our places.
I think it's okay. What? Okay, it's not okay when the smell of the food will trigger you to become hungry.
Yes. I mean, not to say bad, but then sometimes it's just so uncomfortable because basically of the smell. And it's not necessary to be good. You just imagine cooking samba.
Yeah, okay, wait.
I know so it's not okay for me. Probably some people might say, okay, so if let's say there's challenges in renting, what about challenges in buying a house? I know this is what people been saying. Like it's getting difficult to buy or own a house in KL in the current generations. What do you think?
I think not just KL lah, probably like
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Mm.
Like how to say inflation? Like our the price of the house is like keep on increasing, but the price of like salary
Mm.
is not increasing, like as a whole environment thing lah. And then also
Inflation.
and the expenses is also increasing.
Getting higher.
Yeah. So it's a bit hard for the current generation now to actually buy a house.
Mm.
Like if you see our parents, right, like when they are like almost at our age, right, they already have like a house and they already have like a family. Like I always wonder like, wow, how can they, manage all the costs and expenses, like the house, family, and then with their salary, but they still manage to do it, but not with the current generation now.
I guess it's pretty much about the standard of living back then versus now. I mean, I'm not too sure whether for you, but I still remember during my time as a kid, right? So when I was in primary, 1 ringgit you can buy something from the canteen, the school canteen. For 1 ringgit you can buy something for food, for food or even for drinks. But now 1 ringgit, I do not know what you can get.
Sweet cha.
No, I think sweet cha in KL is
1 ringgit
160.
so expensive, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't order for drinks.
Sweet cha 160. I think 160 nearby the kopitiam nearby us. 160, and like for coffee is like probably 250, 260. So that's why I say it's like probably due to the standard of living, the inflations, the economic conditions. Yeah, so it's definitely different. I mean, we could, yeah, probably some people might say, like, how can you compare the previous generation and our generation? Yeah, definitely we cannot compare, as in, because it's apple and orange. Yes, it's kind of difficult for us to really buying or even owning a house in, I wouldn't say KL lah, like in current generations because of like the affordability.
I think unless with the help of the parents.
Yeah, we say you have rich father, rich mother, rich akong, rich ama, much easier, I guess. But yeah, so not everyone have this kind of like pleasure or even this kind of opportunity. So what do you think? Do you think it's getting difficult to own a house in our current generation? And in terms of buying or renting a house, which is best for you? Do share with us in the comments, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to the Nasi Lemak podcast.